How's that better? How's that better?
Yeah, you're looking all right. Except the camera's a little grainy. Is that an older laptop?
No, it's actually brand new. Let me see if it's clean.
Huh.
How's that?
You know what? It could be the light in the room.
No, but it's. I know what you mean. I was very crisp on my iPad, and this is. Yeah, let's see. That better?
Yes, that's actually a little bit better.
I don't know why it's.
All right, so we are live,
Yeah. Hi.
but we don't start till noon, which is in 20 seconds or so. So we'll give it a few more minutes.
Oh, is this Jory smart planning to tell me 11:45?
No, what we do is we go live and then we send out the link, so people will get an email that says, "Oh, hey, this is live,"
I see. Gotcha.
and then they can catch it exactly live. I'm going to also share your website.
Sweet. Sell. Buy.
There you go. Did you guys get that boat moved down to the harbor?
Yeah, he actually did it himself, or he had found a buddy to trailer it down.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. We actually went on it on Monday. It was great. Little rough, but Diversity Harbor is where they're keeping it, which is amazing. It's a good setup there. Like when we came back into the harbor, and they've got a slip. There's a boathouse where they have a grill, and we ordered burgers and fries and pizzas, and they bring it right to your boat.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's cool. Cool. We gotta figure out a date to get you and Jory out there. It's a great boat. It's got to be, it was kind of a rough day, but that's good.
All right. So just want to look at one thing here real quick. Okay. Oh, got to get back to restream. There we go. All right. Here we go. We can go live. Hello, everyone. Mike Wisniewski. Let me move. So I'm looking more into the camera. There we go. Hello, Mike Wisniewski with Materials Exchange. It's Friday, June 3rd, I believe. Wow. I can't believe it's June already. And it is our SmartMarket call. Joining us today is Dustin Cohn from Cadre Financial. Hello, Dustin.
Hi, Mike. Good to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Very, very glad to have you here. Before we get going, I want to talk a little bit about the market, what we're seeing in the market. And it has been a free fall. We had kind of been talking about this in some of the other shows this week, but it absolutely has been in the last 2 weeks. The bottom kind of fell out of the market especially for Western spruce, Eastern spruce, and the European products. I would say the trade of the week is Euro spruce. It seems as though they've been the most aggressive in getting out in front of this. And everyone's kind of racing to catch up with where the Southern Yellow Pine market had already moved to. But we saw yesterday some 2x4 12-foot Euro trading in just over $760 into Indiana. So the market has definitely softened quite a bit. But today the government announced employment numbers, and the employment numbers were better than anticipated. Wages were growing as well. So inflation is on everyone's mind, and we do know that the lumber consumption market is directly affected by an increase in interest rates. So that is the demand side, and that's what we're actually talking about here with Dustin. So hello, Dustin Cohn. You are the Chief Marketing Officer for Cadre Financial. So tell me, what is Cadre? This is the in the background here, we have their website. It says Real Estate Investing Reimagined. What does that mean?
So commercial real estate has traditionally been thought of as an asset class for the uber wealthy. And while we do cater to high net worth, ultra high net worth, and institutions, our vision really is to make commercial real estate more accessible to the average investor. We did some research not too long ago that suggests that a mass affluent audience, which is someone who has around $100,000 in household income, has a very low penetration into commercial real estate. About 14% of that audience is actually investing. Now, why is that? It's because of a few factors. One is lack of education around really what commercial real estate is. Two is
well, let's hang on to that for a second. What is commercial real estate? I think someone who's thinking of lumber and wood products, when they say commercial, they think maybe an industrial, a warehouse, an office building, but multifamily apartment type residential is actually considered commercial real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, one of our hottest sectors in commercial real estate is multifamily, for sure. And especially as we're all seeing, and you referenced earlier, regarding inflation in the market, that's a major factor in commercial real estate, and specifically in the multifamily sector or asset class, because you're seeing increases in rents, which will obviously benefit current investors in multifamily properties, because they'll be able to increase those rents and revenues. And as well as, in very near and dear to your industry, is with the rising costs of building something new. Existing properties become more valuable as well, just basic supply and demand. So yes, residential multifamily is a big part of our business, and probably the hottest sector in commercial real estate right now.
So how did Cadre get started? What are the origins of it? Well, actually, how did you find let's talk about Cadre, and then let's figure out how did you end up at Cadre?
Yeah, so Cadre started about 7 years ago. Ryan Williams is our CEO, and living in the Louisiana area, he identified the market opportunity with foreclosures, essentially, and started buying commercial real estate based on some of the foreclosure opportunities that he saw. And while he was doing that, and he came from very modest beginnings, recognize that commercial real estate is a very good investment for long-term wealth creation for regular people. And he was a regular person, and learned a lot about the industry, and said, well, why not make this asset class more accessible to more people? And that my earlier comment around accessibility, a little bit of his lack of education, but some of it too is thinking that you've got to be a multimillionaire to be able to invest in commercial real estate. So 7 years ago, our minimum investment for individual investors was about $250,000. Now our minimum investment is $25,000, and we are coming out with a fund early next year, where we hope the minimums are just a couple $1,000s for a Main Street investor to actually get involved in commercial real estate. So that's our vision, is the democratization of commercial real estate.
All right. And then, so how did you find yourself here at Cadre?
So I spent the last 7 years at Goldman Sachs. I headed up marketing for the consumer business, Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Was there at the very beginning. Actually, it was employee number 20, and now there's over 1,200 people working on Marcus. I expanded my role at Goldman to also oversee the marketing for our wealth management businesses and our asset management division. And about 4 years ago, Goldman Sachs actually invested in Cadre. And I got introduced to the CEO, Ryan, at that time. And he wanted to learn about what we were doing on the Marcus brand and how we were building Marcus by Goldman Sachs and catering to consumers, again, consistent with his vision to bring in regular consumers into commercial real estate. So I met him, 4 years ago. We stayed in touch. There were a number of breadcrumbs along the way where, they were using me as a sounding board and wanted some marketing insights and counsel. And recently, about 6 months ago, Ryan reached out and said, we're looking for a new CMO. And they were ready to really take this vision to the next level and invest in marketing to consumers to create awareness both for Cadre and commercial real estate.
Sounds like you've been involved in giving the keys to the castle away a little bit.
No proprietary information has been shared, Mike.
No, but I think that's really interesting where, you're taking these traditional, very industries and products that were for a select few and opening up to the masses. It's bringing transparency.
Yeah, that's where I see a lot of similarities between what we're doing at Cadre for real estate, what Marcus by Goldman Sachs was doing for financial services, like high yield savings accounts that were really only catering to large institutions and ultra wealthy individuals, making all of that information and accessibility to regular people a real focus. And I see that that Materials Exchange is doing something very similar in terms of giving access and transparency and data to maybe the mid-size, smaller size buyers and sellers of lumber, which in the past, these sort of deals and this transparency and this exchange of information and data was really only for huge buyers and sellers of lumber. So it's equaling the playing field, and I applaud what you're doing in your industry.
Yeah, so let's talk like what traditionally in a commercial real estate deal, how that would have gone down, and like what kind of entity did that, and compare that to what is available today through your product.
Yeah, I mean, some of our investors, and again, we still cater to these investors, but the same deals that Goldman Sachs are in, BlackRock, we just made an announcement a couple of days ago about a BlackRock partnership that we have, Ford Foundation, Harvard Foundation, we have major investors, involved.
Well, BlackRock is the largest owner of single family homes in the United States now.
Yes, they are. And we've partnered on a new deal with them and are going to be expanding that relationship as well. And so, we are allowing or giving access to, Main Street investors to those very same deals. So you can, through Cadre, invest in the same properties that all the institutions that I just mentioned are investing in. So it really is equaling the playing field for us in commercial real estate.
Specifically, how does it work though? So let's say I give you my $25,000. It goes into a fund. Is that essentially?
Well, we have a variety of offerings. So we at this moment in time do not have a fund that's open. We just closed called the Direct Access Fund about 2 months ago. We will be starting a new fund early next year that will be a retail fund. So what that means is it's registered and really open to anyone who is interested in investing in commercial real estate with really no minimum qualifications, and that's where the initial investment will come way down as well. Today, right now, what we have available is a diverse portfolio of direct deals, so individual properties. So we have a number of individual properties within multifamily. We have a number of hotels. We have a number of office complexes, as well as industrial parks and industrial complexes as well. So it's a pretty good range. And typically, if you would come in with $25,000, you would select an asset class and invest in an individual deal. And we give you, again, access and complete transparency to the financials, the income statements, really anything a major institution would want to see, you can see as well. The other nice thing
for like a lumber consumer or someone involved in this business, they could basically get signed up with your company, and then they could start seeing demand coming down the pipeline potentially.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Where you can get a pulse on specifically, what sectors are hot and what individual properties are hot and what geographies are hot as well. And one thing that I think would benefit, your audience, is a report that we're actually putting out this September, and it is called the Cadre 15. And essentially, we have 3 different Cadre 15 lists. One Cadre 15
I think I
list.
saw that on the website a little bit.
Yeah, that's the previous Cadre 15. Our new Cadre 15 is coming out in September. So through data science and data analysis, along with experience, personal experience in commercial real estate, we have selected 15 markets
Okay.
in the industrial category, 15 markets in multifamily, and 15 markets in office. And so that will also be, I think, a great indicator for the lumber industry in terms of Cadre's perspective and forecast for individual geographies within the asset classes.
Yeah, look, you can't get enough information is what it boils down to. And I think it's so important for our industry. Traditionally, our industry has always just looked upstream and said, how much are the producers making wood today or not making wood? Are they curtailing production? Are they expanding?
Yeah.
And we're very reactionary to the demand that's coming down the pipipeline.
Yeah, this is much more future looking. You're absolutely right. So, when we unveil our Cadre 15, which are the 15 top markets by asset class, I think that would be valuable information, because essentially what that means is these are the markets that we're going to be investing in. We are looking for properties and to developments in those particular markets. And these trends are macro trends, and you could assume many other commercial real estate organizations and developers are looking in those very same markets to develop in those very same asset classes, which obviously that's a great leading indicator for the lumber industry.
For sure. I mean, when the names you were just talking about before, it would be very valuable to know. What is Blackstone? Oh, one moment, my phone is ringing. What is Blackstone doing today? I mean, Blackstone owns more single-family homes for rent than anyone else. I think I'd like to know which markets they're going into.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
And maybe I want to plop down some lumber in those neighborhoods. I think it could potentially be a good return for me. So I think that's amazing. And tell me a little bit about like the technology and that you're using to distribute or to uncover this information and distribute it.
So they're based on a lot of different factors. There are sort of overarching factors by asset class, across multifamily and hotel, hospitality, industrial, et cetera. And then you start to drill down on geographies. So by state, by city, and even by zip code. And it's not going to be one size fits all. And our data science team evaluates this data at the micro level to uncover opportunities, really. And so, one state may be great for office and another state may be, bad for office, or even a state that's good for office overall may have particular zip codes specifically that are great for office. So it's really that micro data that we evaluate, and our data scientists are phenomenal at really looking for those trends and those diamonds in the rough to look for properties for us to develop or purchase. And then, along with technology, of course, we've got a very good team of seasoned, long-term, career-long commercial real estate investors as part of our team and as part of our board and even part of our outside network of financiers. So it's really this high touch and high tech combination that I think makes Cadre unique. And certainly I see some parallels with materials exchange.
Yeah, just going back to the data is key, absolutely. But you can't just rely on data alone. You do have to rely on some experience. It's a lot of times when we're pitching how to use materials exchange, we tell people, here's what works really well. You put someone who's young without experience that understands technology next to someone who has the experience and maybe doesn't understand technology, and you mix the two of them together, and it's a great team. They're going to learn from each other, but they're able to get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think that's right. And on the data side, you are absolutely right. The more data, the better. But I will say, and I'm not a data scientist, and I'm assuming your audience is not not data scientists either. I think what's important is being able to distill that data down to real insights and actionable insights, and that's what's really key. A platform like Materials Exchange, or a platform like Cadre, we want to do the heavy lifting behind the scenes for our users and distill down that data so it's actionable and easy to understand, quite frankly, because there's also data overload. So the Cadre 15 example that I gave, sure, we can share all the algorithms and all the sort of the gnarly analysis that happens behind the scenes and what our data scientists are doing. But that's not the interesting part, or at least not even the part that you can comprehend as an end user. It's how you distill that down and serve that up. And by having a list of 15 markets across asset classes, that's actionable to sort of the average investor.
You take the global and you make it local, and you don't get good local information without having the global view. Is what it comes down to. That's so. Right. Let's talk about the future. What's next? What do you see happening in this investing in the commercial space? How do you see it evolving?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One is based on the inflationary environment. Commercial real estate is a good investment to combat inflation. So I think you'll see a shift of money from more traditional investments like equities into more alternative investments like commercial real estate. And as I mentioned, inflation actually is somewhat helpful for commercial real estate. So I think you'll see people diversifying their portfolios in a much bigger way outside of equities. And certainly with the major pullback on crypto and the crypto winter here, I think people are thinking far less speculatively and much more about building long-term wealth creation. So I think that's one trend. I think another trend, and again, time will tell, is I do think over time office space will become much more valuable. It's not going to happen overnight, of course, but the push for people to come back to office is, I think, becoming more and more ubiquitous. And even recently, this week, Elon Musk of Tesla made some very stern words to his employees that basically said, if you're not showing up to work or to the office, we're going to assume you've resigned. And it's full time, 5 days a week back in the office, or you don't work at Tesla any longer. And I think while that's a very aggressive stance, I think you're going to see more and more companies and industries getting people back into the office. So again, I think that's more of a long-term play, but office space has been really discounted recently, and I believe we'll see that trend over the next couple of years up. And I think lastly is back to the Cadre promise and vision, which is the democratization of commercial real estate, making it more accessible to the average consumer. And I think there are some brands out there that that we all have heard of that have democratized different asset classes. So if you think about what Robinhood did for the stock market, which is make it much more accessible and less expensive and easier for average investors to get involved in the market. There are a number of brands, obviously, on the crypto side. 5 years ago, crypto was, a very elite, niche kind of offering. And, now there's crypto for moms, clubs.
You can buy crypto out of an ATM machine.
Correct. So, those are different asset classes where you've seen, brands make their, offerings create accessibility to those asset classes, and that's really what Cadre wants to do, and what we are on our way in doing is just making this an asset class that's not for the uber wealthy anymore. It can be for regular people, and you would, with Cadre, invest alongside some of the major institutions, largest institutions in the world.
All right, so we're coming up on our half an hour here. Let's ask you the question we ask everybody on the close. What does Dustin see that other people don't? Like, what if you were to say it at a cocktail party, people would think, oh, he's had too many glasses of red wine or something. What's tumbling around in your brain about the future?
Yeah, I would say, and this is more of a marketing perspective, but I would say that digital marketing obviously is not a new thing, but I think it is relatively new to a lot of industries, and commercial real estate is a good example of that. And believe it or not, even my days at Goldman. You would think that we would have, very forward leaning digital marketing in areas like asset management. But, there are sectors like that are a bit, antiquated in the way they think about marketing. Marketing is, thought of in many industries as sort of sales support, which it is, and it's sales enablement, which it is. But I believe that digital marketing, what you've seen in consumer packaged goods for many years, as an example, or in fintech, or just in technology sales in general, I think that will start to apply to older school traditional categories. So lumber, I think, being a perfect example of the use of the internet, and the use of digital marketing channels, and the use
Correct.
of social. I mean, I am super impressed with what Materials Exchange has done with social media, which from where I sit, is sort of a new thing for the lumber category. And
For
the
sure.
way you're doing it, creates awareness and accessibility for your category. So similarly, that's really what I'm bringing to Cadre, is really modern digital marketing, and I think you're going to see that happen more and more in categories that have been a bit old school and more sales driven, and more physical selling versus digital selling. I think you're going to see a recalibration.
Yeah, it's all about the eyeballs. I had an experience last night. I was at the Cubs game, and someone called me, and we were talking, and they said, oh, hey, my kid's at the game. You should tell your son. And I looked over and I said, hey, Cole, Jack's here. He said, oh, I already know. Or he goes, I know that. I'm like, how do you know that? And he, on this digital platform, something about a story, he said, oh, yeah, my story is I'm at the Cubs game. And essentially, he gave transparency into what he was up to, and his friends saw that and connected.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, digital is scalable. There are only so many phone calls a salesperson can make, right? In a day. If you think about digital marketing, it gives you scale and reach. And just think about your daily habits. You want to buy a new pair of sneakers. What do? You go to Google, right? And you do a search. That's digital marketing, and
that's where you start everything.
Correct. And that's where, so many of these antiquated, categories and industries are headed. They're starting to embrace it, because you're all consumers, right? And how do you find things? Well, you go to Google, you go to Bing. There are many ways for us digitally to be noticed, and create awareness for what we're selling.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. All right, Dustin, thank you so much. Appreciate this look. I think what Cadre's doing is really not just interesting, but it's the foundation of where we're going to be moving forward. So we, as the the people who bring the building material, literally bring the building blocks to the game, need to know where those blocks are going. If you know where the blocks are going, you definitely have a leg up. So I recommend everybody check out cadre.com. I think, was that the website? It's
That is correct.
Yep, cadre.com, cadre.com. Check it out. And maybe we'll check back with you in a year or so, see how things are going.
That's great. Well, Mike, thanks again for the opportunity, and super impressed with what you and Materials Exchange business is doing for your category. I think it's very innovative and simple and transparent, and those are tenets that I really believe in. So kudos to you.
Oh, excellent. Appreciate that. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Be safe and enjoy the summer.